Welcome to yet another exciting edition of Sports Talk here on Atlantic Television Network. On this edition of the program, Nigerian Table Tennis Federation hosts coaching seminar. And coming in from the world of boxing, heavyweight champion Dubu to face Parker in Saudi Arabia. In football, Oriental Derby ends in a draw at about. Details of these and many more will be yours when we return from the break.
People into the country illegally. That is amazing.
Honorable
You human
on the point of order.
Honorable they are not picking our calls. They made up their mind.
So no agreement with the EU, but
Welcome back. Sports Talk here on Atlantic Television Network, and I have Mike with me this hour.
Good morning and good morning to all of you.
We start in volleyball this time, and the stage is set for an exciting showdown at the 2024 Controller General of Customs Volleyball Premier League competition. Well, you understand this competition, Mike, has a total prize money of about 15 million naira, and 15 million naira into volleyball, that's quite that's an appreciable sum to compete for.
Yes, of course, and I appreciate everyone to compete for 15 million naira. I think the first place and the second place will go home with a sum of 3.5 million naira, which is a big money. And of course, talk about a controller general who has love and passion for volleyball right here, sponsoring this very one. I think it's a great one. Let's hope that the teams, that is bid to vie for honors in this very one will come out top and, be able to display some sort of, magnificent display so that we'll see the best of volleyball out there and possibly, pick, future stars that can be able to represent the country. But I tell you, it's been a very massive preparation ahead of this very one. We listened to the chairman of the Basketball Federation talking about the president, rather.
Volleyball.
Volleyball 3 days ago, talking tough in this very one, saying that they want to put everything on ground to make sure that he meets, with the standard of the game, which they've actually said. And let's hope that he actually, go the way it is planned so that we can be able to have a very impressive season.
Volleyball championship with the best of the volleyball teams in action in Abuja. It started yesterday and it will run for another 11 days to end on the 14th of December 2024, which is teams the best of luck. 3.5 million top prize is quite a big one for a volleyball team here in Nigeria. We hope the volleyball teams will have fun in Abuja and, of course, do meet up with the vision and desire of the Controller General of Customs. Now let's look at golf. And talking about golf reminds me that Morocco clinched a historic victory at the 16th edition of the All-African Women's Golf Challenge held for the first time in Morocco. Competing on home soil, the home team was exceptional, finishing first with a remarkable 425 strokes, 7 under par. Nigeria, one of the favorites, faced challenges throughout the tournament and did finish in 12th place with 536 strokes. What a challenge for Nigeria, and what a position to end for the women's game.
I tell you, it's a very big challenge for Team Nigeria. They're not impressive one. In fact, since the start of this competition, Nigeria have never, gone far in the competition. But we have teams like South Africa that have actually won 14 out of the last 15 editions. This very one coming in as a surprise for me, for Morocco, winning this very one. The first time that they're hosting this competition, they went on to win it. But then, not all that surprised. Why? Because Morocco in the last 3 years right now, you take a look at the way they've been able to make sport a money spinning venture. Their sporting ecosystem have also gained that momentum of bouncing back. You take a look at different sporting sector. Morocco, they are doing pretty well. And the reason is very simple. They had to put down 8 years plan, 8 complete years plan to ensure that there is an even development of a sport generally, not just football. And of course, football is somehow they are also improving in both the male and female category. But away from that, they are not just centering all their attention on football development. It's about total sport improvement. And that is why we're seeing Morocco doing pretty well. Hosting this very one for the first time, going all the way to win it. I think for me, it is an impressive one. But for Team Nigeria, not a great one. Finishing 12th in a competition that has about 20 or 25 countries, not a good one at all for us.
20 nations were in Trazago Golf Course in Agadir in Morocco, where we saw the women, truck auctions at the golf course there. And like we mentioned, Nigeria came 12th. Host nation Morocco really getting at the very first position amongst the 20 women. We saw powerhouses in the continental golf. South Africa, winners of 14 of the previous 15 editions in it as well. And like you mentioned, it was the first time Morocco was hosting the competition that was established in 1992 to promote women golf across Africa. I wish Nigeria best of luck next time. Let's see whether we can have women, power themselves to the top position. Talking about golf, equally brings to memory Tiger Woods. Remember him? Yes, one time #1 in golf. He has said he has a long way to go in his bid to compete against world best golfers as he continues to recover from his latest pain-relieving back surgery just about 2 months ago. Do you think Tiger Woods can recover from this back surgery and, of course, return back to top challenge in Bahamas, where we understand the tournament will show forth some interesting action for Charity Foundation?
I think it's going to be very difficult for Tiger Woods. No doubt, one of the top names that you want to reckon with when you talk about golf out there. But I tell you, since 2021, when he had that car crash, I think he has struggled trying to bounce back. 2022, he continued to get 1 or 2 injuries setback. In fact, injury has actually blighted his form so far since 2021, and it has been very, very difficult. He has skipped many and numerous, tournaments that he should have taken part in because of the injury that continued to, pop up here and there. I think it's been very difficult for Tiger Woods, to bounce back into reckoning to the fashion or to the form that we know him of. And I tell you, just like he said, it has been a very trying time for him. For him to come back and reclaim that top spot or make big names again, I think it's going to be difficult with players like Xander Schauffele doing pretty well. So I think for me, it's a very hard moment for Tiger. We take exceptional medication for him to be able to bounce back, to reckon anymore.
Muzzle spasm preventing the former world #1 in golf Tiger Woods from taking part in tournaments but won in the year 2024. Looks like we will still have more to be a visit of the doctors even in 2025. He was not part of the British Open, if you remember. And of course, keep a lot of the USPGA and other golfing tournaments in the course of the year but won. And so I'm not too sure Tiger Woods will be in a good physical form. And of course, to be part of any tournament remaining for 2024 and even for 2025. Tiger Woods, a lot of people think, should now begin to think of retiring from the golf, but his love for the sports has continued to drive him to look forward to being part of championships in golf. Well, let's hope that he will recover and get back well. Like he mentioned, it could be an exceptional circumstance that will see the return of Tiger wood, because we understand the back muscle spasm is affecting even his leg and movement as well. Best of luck to Tiger Woods. And now let's go to tennis and talk about tennis. The Nigerian Table Tennis Federation is organizing a 2-day national coaching seminar on leadership and management skills that will take place in just about a few days from now, December 17th to the 18th, a 2-day seminar to take place in Ogun State. This is what we need in table tennis. Coaches need to be updated, and in course of doing that, players as well will know current trends and rules affecting international table tennis competition. But this one, we understand, will involve gender equality, diversity, and of course some decision initiative, all as part of what participants in this seminar will be updated with.
Yeah, I think for me it's a very nice idea, you know, trying to organize the seminars for the coaches out there to keep them abreast with the latest trend as regard to do with tennis. I think for me, you talk about tennis, there is need for us to truly improve, because the likes of Haruna Quadri, Funko, Shonaike, these are players that have, you know, passed their prime.
It's not just for players. I think coaches first.
Yeah, for coaches first, but then the coaches need to have an in-depth knowledge of the game before they can actually produce, you know, very good players out there. And that is why I'm saying that it's very, very necessary for the Nigerian Tennis Federation to do this, and I think it's coming very timely, so that I can be able to refresh their memory and get new skills and sharpen the one that they've known as well, and to also improve the course of the game. Generally, I think this is what should be done annually, you know, for our coaches right here, so that they will also improve their knowledge of the game. If they do improve their knowledge of the game, it would also go far away by thereby trickling it down to the players out there, and that is how we get to scout for good players out there and imbibing them, inculcating them the modern skills on how to play the game. So for me, I think these are things that we keep advocating, that once in a while, not just once in a while, annually, organize seminars for some of our coaches. Sometimes you take them over, let them go and do some refreshers course and all of that. It will help to improve the course of the game right here in the country. So I think it's a right move in the right direction.
Right move in the right direction for coaches in tennis to get updated about some new trend in management and, of course, leadership in the sports of tennis. Now, let's quickly go to boxing. And talking about boxing reminds me of former champion, heavyweight champion, two-time heavyweight champion for that, Anthony Joshua, who looks to be struggling for some kind of relevance. We understand he can't have an opportunity of getting a shot at the World Boxing Council interim title following the sanction of the body's decision to approve a fight between Zhilei Zhang and Agita Gabayel. World Boxing Federation President Mauricio Suleiman has confirmed that the winner of the Zhang-Gabayel bout could face Anthony Joshua, offering the Nigerian a new path to heavyweight glory without immediate matches against Daniel Dubois and Tyson Fury. Even Alexander Usyk, he's already lost opportunity of going back to fight Dubois, who was supposed to be his next fight if he had won earlier. But do you think this fight will see the light of the day and give him an opportunity of bouncing back if possible?
Yeah, I think so. Just like we were discussing even behind the camera, I was saying that it is a lifeline for Anthony Joshua. And the reason for this is very simple. I'm just thinking that the World Boxing Council, they are just trying to bring Anthony Joshua back into the limelight because he pulls a lot of crowd out there. And of course, he knows...
Does he still pull crowd?
Yes, it does. Yes, it does. Even the last fight that he lost against Daniel Dubois, he saw the massive crowd that turned out there for him out there. He has been always, you know, noted for that. And whenever Anthony Joshua steps into the ring, he commands a whole lot of crowd out there. And I guess this is the reason, because, you know, the ticket sale, the TV rights, these are money that will go into the purse of the organizers as well, which would also trickle down to the World Boxing Council. So for me, I think it's a nice one. Only if Joshua can prepare very well for this fight, so that he can be able to take the opportunity when he presents himself. Because, you know, while waiting for Daniel Dubois, that fight, that rematch might not be functional. And that is why I said it is a very big opportunity for Anthony Joshua to stake a claim and come back into the heavyweight division. But then he needs to prepare very well, because Zhilei Zhang is not a pushover. neither the opponent Caballel, who is also a very strong fighter. I think he's rated is among top 4 as it is right now. So that is the kind of fighters that Anthony Joshua will be facing. That is, if only the opportunity comes, which for me, I think it's going to be a very great one. Anthony Joshua just need to start being down to the gym. You need to start working earnest, because you prepare and wait so that when success comes, it doesn't take you by chance. Anthony Joshua should know that success do not take you by chance. From his last fight, it looks like someone that wasn't very prepared, and now he's been knocked out of the pecking order at having a title, World Boxing Heavyweight title. But he has a chance now. The World Boxing Council have given him the opportunity. I hope he will seize it. But talking about boxing, in the next 20 days, if you're a boxing follower, you should know that there will be the unification bout between Alexander Usyk and, of course, Tyson Fury. Every boxing fan right now is looking forward to it. Can the World Boxing Heavyweight title be unified and held by one? Who holds it? Will it be Alexander Usyk or Tyson Fury? We'll keep our fingers crossed on it and hope that these two fighters will give the boxing world what we've been waiting for. Who gets it? Who unifies all the titles in heavyweight division? But still talking about boxing this hour, reminds me that Briton Daniel Dubois would defend his heavyweight title against former champion Joseph Parker in Saudi Arabia. That will be next year, February 22nd to be precise. Dubois, who is 27 years of age, seems to be gaining momentum in the absence now of Anthony Joshua. Yes, I think he's gaining that fame. He's getting that recognition that he truly deserves right now. And of course, he lost good. Now another opportunity for him to also defend his title against Joseph Parker, another hand puncher out there. I think it promises to be an exciting one for boxing fans across the globe. I can't wait for this very one. Let's see if what Daniel Dubois did against Anthony Joshua was a fluke, or was it actually ready and prepared for that very one. Then we'll get to see when he squares up against Joseph Parker. Well, let's keep our fingers crossed on it and look forward to that exciting tie that will come up in February next year. Let's maybe wrap up this half of the show with one more story coming from the world of Formula One. And talking about Formula One, we have just one race to the end of the season, but before then, we understand the FIA, that is governing body for Formula One, believes that there should be a change to some of its rules to limit the way its leadership can be held to account for bad governance. Well, administrative changes, I must say, a set of revisions to the statutes governing the audit and ethics committee has been circulated to member clubs to be approved at the vote of the General Assembly due in just about 10 days, 9 days from now. Mike, rules change are part of vision and, of course, getting the organization to a better position. But in this instance, it has to pass through a lot of processes for there to be an administrative, especially a financial change in the way financial issues are dealt with in the Formula One body. Yes, of course, very, very necessary at this point in time. There need to be divisions of labor, so that people do not take it for granted. Because when you allow one man to also shift the file and do everything that has to do with decision taking, then it looks more like a one-man affair. You hear so many complaints regarding the president talking about Ben Suleiman, who has been under heavy criticism in the past, and even present as we speak right now. So that is why they need for them to actually legislate on how the authority will be shared, so that it doesn't rest on the buck or the table of one man other. And this time around, according to their report, that the Senate will come in, so that when you give your report, the Senate has to approve it, and authority should be divided, so that one man do not run the affair as though it is a family business. So I think for me, I think it's the right way to go. Ben Suleiman, the chairman, the president of the Formula One body right now, having to see how some of his powers could be limited, and the Senate charged with regulating on laws and policies governing the Formula One body worldwide will try to look at somehow his audit powers and duties could be transferred to some independent body.
we'll keep our fingers crossed and see on latest development in Formula One, and we will let you know as they get this legislation passed or suffer defeat in the Senate. The Senate, of course, is charged with regulation of rules and principles governing the Formula One body. Let's take a break now. When we return from the break, we'll look at the football, and I could talk about football. Reminds me that the Nigerian National League has started, and we're looking at some venues that could be approved for the championship. Nationwide Super 8, of course, is in. And talking about football, equally, just yesterday we saw an Oriental derby, the much expected Oriental derby between Enyimba International and Rangers International. How did it end? When we return from a break. Beyond that, tonight in the Premiership in England, there are, I say, mouth-watering fixtures. Arsenal, Chelsea, Manchester United. If you know that everybody now seems to have had all of the tickets bought at the Emirates Stadium in a encounter where Arsenal will host Manchester United. We'll let you know all the details and see, especially what to expect later tonight when top clashes take place in the Premiership in England. Stay with us for a very short break. We will be back.
People into the country illegally. That is amazing. You human
On the point of order.
Honorable they are not picking our calls. They made up their minds.
So no agreement with the EU, but
From the line across the ocean to the land beyond the mountains, through the Sahara, we bring on sport news, live analysis, expert discussions on trending stories in politics, business, socio-economy, sports, and documentaries. So catch all the updates on the happenings around the globe. Stay focused on the fact today. Only on ATN.
Welcome back. Sports Talk here on Atlantic Television Network. We're going towards the last half of the show, and we have to start now in football. And talking about football reminds me that the Nation League 1 Super 8 tournament will actually be staged at the Buhari Stadium in Abuja. This is interesting. The tournament, we understand, we will kick off from the 15th. That's December 15th this year, running through to the 21st. Will host 8 top teams in the Nigerian National League: FC Ebiede, Jodo City, the Sapele Lions, Police Barretta, City Sports, Ibom Youth, and Family Workshop and Kogi United. Mike, the Buhari Stadium in Abuja should be, do I say, heated up with the 8 teams already ready for this competition.
Yeah, of course, hostility begins there very soon, and of course, many of the teams, all these 8 teams rather, that have been qualified for this very one, they are preparing very seriously for this very one, and I think the organizers have done a massive job. I was actually following some of the activities on a certain website. I saw the way they were trying to organize it to make it history, and I'll tell you, it's going to be an exciting one, seeing the lower tier of the league making such a massive preparation in order to ensure that they have a very successful outing. I think if we continue in this trajectory, just maybe we're going to get it right in the near future.
We understand the winner of the Super 8 tournament will receive a whooping 30 million naira worth of a bus. 18-seater bus will be given to this team. This will, of course, for me, a good gesture because it will assist the team move from one venue to the other. What do you make of it? Sponsors of the league ensuring that the players move from one venue to the other in comfort.
That is key because players, if they are not comfortable traveling from one position or location to the other to go and honor away games, then it becomes a setback for them out there. They truly need this kind of comfort so that to give their maximum best out there where they get on the pitch of play. You know how difficult the terrain is, boarding one cab to the another, especially for those of them that have buses that are not up to date, that have been outdated. It takes a very long distance for them to get to their own destination. And getting there, the players might already been exhausted. Then you don't have time again to prepare to go to the pitch and give out your best. But when you have a very comfortable bus that take you from one location to another, then I think the players will be relaxed to give in their best when they get into the pitch of play. I think it's a nice one from the organizers. We hope that in the next edition as well, we are going to even see more better, reward system for the winners.
Sponsors of the Super 8 tournament in the Nigerian National League offering, of course, in 18-seater bus worth over 30 million naira for comfort of players that will move from one location to the other. So there's something to play for in the Super 8 here in Nigeria. Now, talking about football at the lower league, let's look at what has happened at the Premier League level. We saw week 15 fixture, between Rangers and Eyimba come up yesterday at the Aba Stadium, Eyimba International Stadium in Aba. Eyimba was host, Rangers International was away, but this is an Oriental derby, and it ended 0-0 after 90 minutes plus added time. We understand Eyimba played 9 corner kicks, while Rangers played none in this fixture. Yet, it did not change the results. Of both sides had to share the spoils at the end of the day.
Yeah, Fideli Silechukwu and his boys out there, they were able to hold their own Eyimba at home to get at least a very vital point out there. But I tell you, beyond the game itself, a lot of things actually went down because we saw massive turnouts in that very game out there where the fans pulled out in their number to cheer their teams out there to victory. At some point, there seems to be a little fracas in the stadium between some of the fans that the match had to be halted for some few minutes before it then continued. Eyimba, they dominated proceedings, had bulk of the possession, but then like it is said, possession without penetration leads to frustration, and I guess that is what Enyimba got last night. So they had all of the possession, but there was no penetration into the 18-yard box of the Enugu Internationals, and that is why they ended up being frustrated at the end of the game. They could not get all 3 points, at home. And courtesy of that point, they've also further shifted back from their standing right now to 6th position, while Enugu Rangers is on 5th position. But I tell you, I think you want to say a good game for Enugu Rangers, who at least went away to get a valuable point.
Good game for Rangers International. Of course, they maintain their 4th place position on the league table right now. And Enyimba seem to be somewhere middle wrong of the table. They are 6th place. Enyimba International, do you think this is a comfortable position after 15 games in the Premier League?
Not a comfortable position for teams such as Enyimba. 6th position with 22 points as it is. I think it's a very not comfortable position for me, because Enyimba, they should be the one contending for the league, maybe seated in the 1st or even 2nd position. But drifting back to 6th position, I think is not a good one at all for clubs such as Enyimba. But then you take a look at their form so far, it has been a blip in form for them. Don't forget how they went away for the CAF Confederations Cup to lose to the Egyptian side, talking about Al-Masry, 2-0. Coming back home, it was expected that Enyimba should pick up from there, but then they continued to fire blanks. It's a very difficult position, and if they continue with this way under Olarewaju, I do not see them making any impact this season in the Nigerian Premier Football League.
Well, now let's look at the national team, and it reminds me now of the Nigerian under-17 women's side. We understand 25 of the girls have been invited to camp by head coach Bankole Oluwokere. They are to be in camp ahead of the WAFU B under-17 Girls Cup competition taking place in Ghana in just about 6 or 7 days from now. Under-17 used to be, do I say, Nigeria's strongest sport, both for male and female. Do you see this showcasing itself with the girls invited ahead of the FIFA Under-17 Women's World Cup coming up in the Dominican Republic some weeks, from what we saw of them some weeks ago?
Yes, of course. I think they did pretty well. They did to the best of what they had out there in the last Under-17 Women World Cup out there in Dominican Republic. So I think they will be building on that very experience of getting that international, exposure down this time around. I think it's going to also help them. They come up against some of the toughest and strong team in the Under-17 World Cup that just finished few weeks ago. I came up against United States of America, who is one of the powerhouses. They talk about women football. So coming up against such a powerhouse, they're losing to 2-0 against them. They played very well in that game. So if they can also did what they do, play the way they played against the United States of America, against some of these African teams right here, then I tell you they'll be in a poor position to make a very strong statement in this very one. And bulk of the players that did very well in the last Under-17 at Dominican Republic, they are also included in this very squad. The top scorer who scored 4 goals, Moshood, is also in this squad. So I think I believe they have what it takes to be able to do well in this very one.
Away from that, now let's quickly go to Europe. And talking about Europe reminds me of the Premier League that took place last night. One of the games we saw Leicester City beat Premier League side West Ham by 3-1. It was a match hosted by Leicester City, but it saw the very first game of Van Nistelrooy, and it didn't take up to 3 minutes for us to see the very first goal coming from the man you see on the screen there, Vardy. Vardy scoring what looks like one of the quickest goals at the Premiership last weekend. Thereafter, we saw 2 other goals come the way of Leicester City, making all 3 points available to their manager, Van Nistelrooy, who just joined the team a few days ago.
Yes, I think it's a dream start for Ruud van Nistelrooy, the former Manchester United player.
And coach as well?
And coach as well. And of course, he saw how excited he was. Before that game, he had to sit on the stand in the last Leicester City last game, to watch how things will go. But eventually, they lost that very one. So I am sure he was able to pick 1 or 2 tips from that game. Coming up against West Ham side, I was expected, to give Leicester City a run for their money. But under Lopetegui, I think West Ham have actually struggled. This is not the same West Ham we saw under, their former coach, talking about David Moyes, who did pretty well with the West Ham side, especially with the likes of Mohamed Kudus, Lucas Paqueta doing pretty well, Thomas Tuchel. But it looks as though they are unable to replicate their fine form under Lopetegui. I tell you, it's a very difficult one for West Ham this point in time. But for Ruud van Nistelrooy, very, very good start. A dream start for any manager out there. Winning your first game at 3-1, even when West Ham had to ask most of the questions, it's just that they did not take their chances. But football is all about you taking your chances. You might have 99.9% of ball possession. If you don't take your chances, and your opponent who has just 1% of the ball possession take their chances, that will be done for it, and that is what Leicester City did over the midweek. Let's hope that they can continue in this fine form, because courtesy of that victory, they have been moved from where they were seated to 15th position right now, which is a very good one for them.
Good one for Leicester City, moving out of relegation, at least temporarily, to the 15th place position on the league table with the manager's first. Maybe there's something about Van Nistelrooy and Leicester City. Remember, he beat them twice as Manchester United manager, and now he's coming around to turn 14, which he pushed them to. Meanwhile, same yesterday we saw an earlier encounter between Ipswich Town, and it was the Ipswich Town that lost all 3 points on the night. Crystal Palace benefiting from that action yesterday.
Yeah, I expected that Crystal Palace should take all 3 points against a struggling Ipswich Town, so far this season. I tell you, been a worrisome situation for Ipswich Town this season, and if things does not change as quick as possible, it may be a very, very difficult season for them. They might possibly head back to the championship, because I think they have not shown that they have the capacity, to stay afloat the English Premier League so far for this season. But for Crystal Palace, 1 goal, 3 points in the bag, job done, dusted.
There are fixtures in the Premiership later tonight, and let's start with the star fixture. Mike, Arsenal is at Emirates Stadium against Manchester United. Everybody wants to know, can Arsenal annex all 3 points to see how to catch up with Liverpool at the top of the league table? And Manchester United seem to have discovered their mojo, and they've been turning out results, even goals, in the last few fixtures we've seen in the Premiership in England. So this is seen as a top-of-the-bill team. Manchester United scored 4 goals in their last fixture, while Arsenal scored 5. Do you see goals galore coming tonight at the Emirates Stadium?
Yeah, one thing is certain, that it's going to be a goal galore, because both teams and both coaches love their players to score goals. So for Mikel Arteta, of course, we've seen his tactical disposition. He's one man who truly enjoys scoring goals. And for Ruben Amorim, down from where he was at Lisbon, he loves scoring goals as well. And he's showing that glimpse of scoring much goal with Manchester United so far. So it's going to be a goal situation for this very one. But the big question is, can Arsenal harvest or harness all 3 points against Manchester United tonight? And I think they can, because they have what it takes within their arsenal, to go into their armory and bring the lethal weapon to gun down Manchester United this evening to take all 3 points. But then, in football, it is a different ball game. You can never say never, and you can't actually root for any team out there and be 100% sure that they are going to deliver, not until after the last whistle. So it's going to be a very tricky time, because Manchester United under Ruben Amorim, we've seen a lot of revitalization, we've seen a lot of life being breathed into the Manchester United squad. So, and that makes that game very, very game tonight. Blockbuster game, you may want to say. Don't also forget they've also been drawn in the FA Cup third round, Manchester United against Arsenal as well. So it starts from tonight. But I tell you, I think for me, the pendulum will swing in favor of Arsenal. Arsenal
looks like the team to annex all 3 points. 90 minutes, and the other time will determine later tonight. At the same time, at the Emirates, where the match is taking place at Emirates Stadium, at St. Mary, Southampton will host Chelsea. Chelsea, a lot of people didn't reckon with them at the beginning of the season, but now they are scoring goals for fun.
Of course, and Enzo Maresca doing great job. Just like you said, nobody gave them a chance, before the start of the season. Having let go of Mauricio Pochettino with a young crops of player, bringing in a new coach, he had to start to rebuild from fresh. Nobody gave them a chance at all. But then I think they are gradually crawling their way into the top spot in the English Premier League. It promises to be an exciting one against a very stubborn, Southampton at St. Mary's Park. That on a good day, Southampton can actually humble anything. But looking at the form of Chelsea Football Club, you may want to say, yeah, just maybe they are going to get all 3 points tonight.
All 3 points tonight could go the way of Chelsea. And one other fixture a lot of followers of the Premier League will look an eye on is the encounter involving Newcastle United and Liverpool. Newcastle, can they stop Liverpool from getting more points on the top? Right now, I think they seem to have opened a 9-point lead between them and Arsenal. I
can't truly guarantee that it is football, but if you take a look at their form, both the Magpies, talking about Newcastle and Liverpool, I think there is a gulf in class between these two teams. Liverpool has been rising on a very high, but for Newcastle, I think it's been
scoring goals for fun, 5 goals to 1. It did end against a middle place team. What do you make of the way we saw Lamy return back to the starting lineup for the team?
I think it's a hope, and a very big hope for Barcelona Football Club and a coach, talking about Hansi Flick.
He beat Mallorca. Mallorca is currently placed 8th on the league table, yes. And they had to beat them to at least return back to the top of the league table. Real Madrid is in action tonight. Can Real Madrid catch up with Barcelona?
Of course they can, because if Madrid get to win their 2 outstanding games, I think they are going to catch up with Barcelona. Barcelona had a very disappointing outing last week where they dropped all 3 points, giving Madrid that advantage as it is right now. Just 1 point different from Madrid right now, but Madrid have 2 outstanding games. So I think Madrid have what it takes tonight to get all 3 points, to closing the gap on Barca temporarily.
Madrid has what it takes to close in, and let's hope that will be it. And we could just bring you one more story before we wrap up the show on this edition of Sports Talk, and that could be coming from the Bundesliga. Leverkusen knocked out 10-man Bayern Munich from the German Cup. This is shocking for me. Bayern Munich no longer part of the German Cup for 2024.
Yeah, not shocking for me, not shocking, because Bayern Leverkusen, they are